Hello, welcome back to City Planner Place, where we are building the city of Verde Beach. And in the previous episode, we built this neighborhood of Myrtle Gardens, and today we're going to finish it, or at least that's my goal. We are going to finish and fix our roadway network. We are going to add city services, including public safety, healthcare, and education. We're also going to add some parks and unique amenities, add some mass transportation, finish zoning and detail, including some street naming based on recommendations from Patreon supporters and YouTube members, and do a bit of landscaping. So a lot to get to today. And before we get to that, I want to give a huge shout out to today's video sponsor. I've teamed up with Apex Gaming PCs to design my own custom computer perfect for playing games like Cities, Skylines, and Timberborn. Check them out by looking at the link in the video description. Okay, and with that, let's take a look at a couple of things that I want to get to beforehand, and that is the naming over here. So, one of the interesting things is that a number of the council members renamed themselves, and I grabbed their temporary names. So, a lot of them are correct, but a couple were missed. In particular, Dogg was missed. So, let's go to Pooch Street at a dog park. We'll use some eminent domain for this. That's the height of realism. We'll take out 2 homes for this dog park, and we're going to fix it. We'll make it the dog park. So there we go. And actually, let's add this. The dog park. So it makes sense. Pooch Street, dog park. All right. So we've got some significant concerns with the roadway network over here. If you take a look, we've got these little I believe this is 2 tile segments that are just incredibly steep. Excellent for excellent for sledding, maybe not so excellent for biking, and certainly dangerous if you're in a garbage truck. So we've got to do something about this, and it's like that basically everywhere as we terrace up. So the way that we're going to fix that is to just separate these a bit. I'm going to move them back about 2 squares, not 2 blocks, and hopefully that does the trick. Okay, so this is a good example of where this is going to work. So I think that extra separation does do us quite a bit of good. Oh, and we've got power issues. I just severed that power connection that I said was so important. And it is, because we have to have power here. So that inherently makes it important. Okay, let's go ahead and upgrade these. And we will place these in the right direction right off the bat. At least for everywhere except for here. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And I'll stop it here. I could make this connection, but it'd be unbalanced, so I'm going to skip it. And what you can see that this does is this road is still very steep. Some might call it ridiculously steep. I'll call it acceptably steep. Depends on where you live. Obviously, where I live, we are going to slope everything. But if you're in Seattle or San Francisco, maybe you look at that and you go, well, that's acceptable. I see that every day. There we go. I don't love this. Ooh, I really don't love that. All right, one last modification to this area. First of all, we know that is the approximate center, so we'll call a mulligan on that entirely. And let's just have angle on. Come in at a nice 90, and then make our connection. And then let's make sure we upgrade this so it makes sense. And we reverse that. Now that makes much better sense. The slope is a lot better. We'll upgrade the trees down the line, but we've got a lot of work today, so I'm not going to worry about that. What I want to figure out now is the rest of this terracing. And we've got some things. There's some stuff happening here that I'm a little concerned about. In particular, I don't think I gave enough thought to the way that these roads are connecting into our existing roadway network. As you can see right here, for instance, this is a great example. I have this collector coming in, and instead of meeting up at this other collector, I'm meeting up kind of off skew. So there's a way to fix this. I want to back all of these out just a bit. Maybe not this one. This one's okay. Oh, actually, I could meet that up. So what I'm going to do, this one is okay. There's not much I can do to fix this. There's no other way to come in and connect up. What I'm going to do is have a parallel facility to this road where I try to line up everything and connect in. And then I'd really love for these radial streets to remain fairly straight and consistent with what our game plan was in the radial neighborhood. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to come out. This is going to be a short block. We're going to use our road guidelines. This is not going to maximize the density. This is to create a transition between these two areas. So think of this as almost a frontage road. There are some things I don't love about this, but I can get over most of them. So now that we have that, I could regrade all of this, or I could risk it. And risk it I will, and fail I also will. So let's go ahead. We'll grab this top height up here and slope it up. So this will be a steeper connection than most of our others. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do this for the rest of them as well. And my goal here is just to maintain this view shed as long as I can. Now you can't see it, at 30,000 square feet, but when you zoom into the street level, you'll see that you'd be able to maintain that view of the street all the way down. And that is my main goal. Wow, that is a absolutely horrendous road. I'm going to need to fix that too. So we will get to that soon. And interestingly, we're getting some slope to steep messages. I guess I'm less concerned about this. I would love to get this over. Maybe it's not the end of the world. So I was thinking that it would be really nice to be able to make a connection between the two of these, but I feel less concerned about it with that frontage road. Maybe that's silly. Maybe I should be just as concerned as before, but I'm not. So I'm going to just leave it like that. We'll have that little connection there. And then we'll fix this. Just want to double check this. You can see there's an angle. I'm not interested in that angle at all. So we will likely need to do some work to this one. I'm just getting that as close as I can without breaking everything. And then we have this last one. This one we are going to line up. I think this is important enough that we need to really give some thought and consideration to how we're making this connection. So we'll back that out, grab this height, and then plot out our connection. And this is really a connectivity concern. At some point, that's got to trump the most ornate and intricate roadway design. You've got to have good connectivity too. So that's what we're going to focus on with that connection. There we go. Oh, that feels so much better. What doesn't feel good is this. So let's get that fixed. Much better. And we're going to have the same issue in a couple of places. So I'll need to redo a couple of these streets. And you see them, they're just dipping down and dipping up. Not the end of the world all the time. The hard part is figuring out which street is actually higher. For this one, I believe it's here, ever so slightly higher. There we go. That's good. And it looks like we could fit in at least one, if not two more blocks in between here. So I'm going to start here because I know that this is going to be a street where we can maximize our density. Let's just make this a regular street. Now, we're going to need to do some work to make this happen. And you can see that we've got some significant grading issues to worry about here. And now we're sloping down, so there's a lot going on in terms of terrain heights. That is, it is straight, but this road is not. So it's leading to some unique decisions with our roads. And it's treating that as two separate segments, which is causing all sorts of issues for me. So I will delete that, reestablish it. Now it's one segment and I'm good to go. I think this road has to stop here. So there's not really much I can do. It's even here. If you look 600 down here. Ooh, it is not straight. Okay. Huh. Well, that's a concern. So it's 560 here, still 560 here. If I come up here, 560, and then I'll come across one more time. And now again, we have that road issue. So whenever you're doing something like this, particularly on a hill, prepare to battle because that is going to be your life. Now here, 560, there we go. Finally made it. We could extend this out here. I don't know that there's a ton of value, but I may go for it anyway. Actually, there's actually a ton of value down here. As you can see, we can have some bigger backyards or change this terrace just a bit and get this to be the full 4 units. Right now it's 3. Yeah, this is actually really valuable. In fact, that means that we only really need to modify things here. And I think we're going to just leave it to have bigger backyards and call that a day. Here we've got an opportunity. We have this rock formation here. And I think if we're really thoughtful about this, this could be a park. And I'm okay with not maximizing density everywhere, unless, of course, we can do this. So let's come through here. We'll grab that top height and slope right up. And then make a quick connection right there. I like that a lot. That's good. So this connection, I feel, is another one that we could make if we were really thoughtful about it. Maybe not even thoughtful, just forced it. Let's call a mulligan there and give this another try. So I don't think in a million years that we would demolish a collector connection to make this happen, but we're going to take some liberties because it's going to give us a much better connection, and I really like this connection. It makes it feel well integrated. So we'll go for it. Okay, so there we go. Our roadway network is mostly figured out. Now we could do some other things that would be unique. I think it'd be really neat to have a roundabout here, for instance, instead of this really insane, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-way stop with 8-way unsignalized stop. I think I've watched a modeling run from India where this sort of stop was in place and worked beautifully, swimmingly. The reason why is just the difference in the commute culture there. Here in the US, this would cause pandemonium. In fact, to the point that I know that we would have to signalize this or do something. Wow. I love this. This is absolute madness. I think it's hilarious. So we're gonna go with it. That is the city planner, the traffic engineer getting together and having a good laugh because they understand that this is bad. And then we need to make a couple of connections here. And I think we're going to modify this just a bit. These aren't going to be signalized, but that doesn't mean that they can't be good. And that is connectivity right there. That's important. Same thing there. Now these neighborhoods are integrated. And yes, I'm referring to Lewis Lumber as a neighborhood because that's what it is. Even though it is an industrial neighborhood, it's still a neighborhood. It still has its own issues and needs, and it matters. So let's refer to it as a neighborhood. All right, let's go ahead. We've got a lot of sloping to do. And before we can get to anything else, we need to take care of that. So I could have done something more right here, but this feels like a separate development to me. So I think that we're going to go back on this and we'll prep it, but we're going to leave it. This feels like a high density university related development. And that is not what we're doing right now. Certainly the engineering students, they are all about this. They want to live here. This is an excellent place to live. I would imagine that there are students all throughout this, but not just students. This would be just a kind of a happening place to live in general. And I'm doing all sorts of things to mess this up. So doesn't matter how good you are with the tools, you can make mistakes. And look at this, that slope is, this is one of those places where I'd love to have the ability to slope with node controller, but it's not in the cards today. Not in the cards. Okay, so I think that for our roadway network, this is it. And it feels good. We could add more roads, but we don't need to. We're good. So let's think about some city services. That's the other reason I really wanted what is now called Dixon Street to exist as a street, because we can add all these city services facing this frontage road. And look at the coverage we get. Excellent. And we're going to just add all of these. Everything that we need in this neighborhood. So we have a small healthcare clinic. That's probably good enough. If we take a look, actually, that's probably the bare minimum. In fact, yeah, it'd really be great to get a reasonable hospital in this area, a full-sized hospital, but I'm really reluctant to do that here. And I'll show you why. So I placed this. Look at the way this grades. It's horrendous, and there's no way to fix it. I could stick it in this road. We get this in the back. There's just not really a good way to resolve this. So I will go with a couple of clinics. I'll put one here, and then I'll focus one over here. And I can terraform this. I can figure this out. This isn't bad. And it's pretty rational if you think about it. Having a clinic right next to the college campus, we can do that. Covered up with some landscaping. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay, so the last, well, not the last. We've got a lot of things to add over here. So we've got clinic, fire, police. We also need death care. I also want to make sure we have adequate health care for our elderly and for our children. So I want to really look at the terrain here. Yeah, there's no good spot, but there's better spots. In the center is better. We're not sloping down. At least we can taper the back off. We'll do the exact same thing with our child care, child health center. Very awkwardly and clumsily worded, in my opinion. And we could certainly add things like saunas. We want this to be a high. This is Maggie's neighborhood. This is what she's worked towards. So why not? We'll give the elderly a sauna to go to. Beautiful. And now we need a post office. And truthfully, this would probably work really well down here as well. Problem is the land value is just too high to justify it. I mentioned that before. I'm going to stick by that. I still believe the land value is simply too high to justify the placement of a city service of any kind, really, anywhere near these buildings. And then we need some schools. So we're going to go with only highest quality schools. So we'll go with community schools. The population here is very high. And then we're not even filling this up. So we've got 415 children. We've got almost 1,000 teens. So when we look at our schools, we would need at least 2 of these community schools. And we really should have more than one Institute of Creative Arts, but that's what we have, just one. So we'll deal with it. And the rest of the kids will have to be bussed out. as sad and troubling personally as that is to me, it happens. So we'll add this here. I'm going to scoot this over. And I'm sure you guys are looking at these terrain heights going, oh my goodness, what is he doing? I hate this. Trust the process. Philadelphia 76ers. That's how they got Joel Embiid. So we're going to be okay. We've just got to trust the process. All right, so I'm not even a 76ers fan, but what they did was outstanding. So we'll spread these out, one on each side. Really troubling, the heights. really, really terrible to look at. So we've got this child health center near the school. Might just move that down for the sake of the heights. We're experimenting right here. We're trying to figure things out. We've got work to do, and we know it. So let's get some amenities next to the school. Obviously, we always love to have a small playground next to the school if we can. And next to the high school, I always love to have basketball court or chirper balloon tours. That must be new. For the 7th anniversary of City Skylines, we get that, I guess. Slope too steep. I agree. The slope is too steep. I guess we're going to have to play with slopes to get this to work. Now look, as we add this, the city's going crazy. It loves this. We're adding amenities, making this a better place to live. Okay, so now I think we can finally add that basketball court. There we go. And I think that's about all we're going to get. I'd love to get more in here, but as I look, so sports hall, that's one of the things I love to add with this. Doesn't really fit. Unless, of course, we do this. And I might. You have to walk over here. Yeah, I like that. It's a recreation facility. The kids can walk. We will, there's not really a good way. I'd love to be able to add a self-leveling path, but let's just see what that does. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's also not very good. So, you know what? We're going to go with it. We'll make it work. These kids are young and spry, and they can make it up the hill. Back in my day, I had to walk up hills to get the gym class both ways. So there we go. We'll give them a story. So now that we've got that, we've only got a few more things to think about in this area. And the first thing I want to think about is park space. So we've added those, and we can already see that has made a huge improvement. I've added all of these areas, which have been lovingly referred to as, kind of half suns. Thing is, I've prioritized the roadway movement through the park, and I really dislike that. So we're going to get rid of these. If you're coming down here, you are coming down here to go around the park. You're not coming here because you want to drive through it. That's unacceptable. So why are we doing this? What are we going to do here? We've got a lot of things we're going to do here. I'm really excited to do it. So first of all, I see some river things going on I don't like. I want to fix that. I saw this in the city tour, and I cringed a bit. So let's fix it right now. Okay, so next up, I want this to be one park. This whole area along the quay wall is one park. So I think that's going to do us a lot of good in terms of planning and organizing this. So let's go ahead. We'll create a new park area. We'll make the center one the main park. And I need a name for this. So if you have a good naming idea, let me know. So there we go. Oh, what if I just delete this? I really wish the name would show up in the center. I know it's a small thing, but it's a thing. It's a thing. Okay, so Daffodil Meadows, totally an appropriate name. Once you have if you've thought of a name, I'm happy to take it and consider it, and I'll pick the best one and name this. So we need a park entrance, and this will be just a regular city park. I want the gates to feel consistent though. So I'm going to add, so we're going to add a main city park gate here and then a bunch of side gates. And then within here, this is a free park. I'm not concerned about people paying to get in. So it really bugs me that is kind of forced upon me. But I think I need the gate if I want it to level up. And since we're using these park paths now, let's upgrade all of these to park paths. The nice thing is we can add in some amenities, some trees potentially, and I'm going to go back and forth between choosing my road guidelines here so that I can make these connections smoothly. And I'll have to turn road guidelines on and off because they totally break everything. There we go. So I want this to be a park because now we have all of these beautiful park amenities available to us. And we can add those to this area. So let's think about this. Let's give this some thought. This is our main park area. This gives us our view of the Lewis statue. And we are going to want to take advantage. So first of all, I do want a couple of these fountains. I want them to be across from one another. Now this is fascinating. I didn't realize that this would even follow the key wall. You can see it's finding the key wall. It's not working because the space is already occupied. And even if I did, it would be sitting so far back. Really a challenge. But we have this opportunity to add all these park piers now. I don't know how these are going to look. Not good. Not good at all. So if we add this, clip. Okay. I don't like that. I don't know that I have a good fix for that, but I don't like it. Let's see if some of the other amenities from tourism will work a little bit better. So this one's mad that it doesn't have a road. And even though I think I could get away with this, that is really going to bother me. So I could just extend these roads down to meet up here. I might do that, as silly as I think that is. So that would just be angle. Then we'll come through here, and now we can place these right in the center. And these are fishing piers, but I feel like you could use them for viewing decks as well. And I'm wondering what happens here. Please walk around. No, you walk right through. That's not any better. Well, we might just have to accept a bit of imperfection there, because I think this looks really good. Really like that. And I don't want to overdo this. I think that's something that is really easy to do, is to go through and just add every single amenity you can into a park without really giving it much thought. So I upgraded these to roads with trees. I'm not sure or paths with trees. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I wonder. It's not very much. I was thinking it might be nice to do something to jazz this up a bit. And I'm thinking that that's not a good idea. It's too small of a segment. It's not always appropriate to use that new tool. And this is one of those situations where maybe it just doesn't. I want to take control of the paths. This is good enough here. I don't think we need anything else. So let's get these other ones in place. I wonder, it would be neat to have a bit of flair here. And I wonder if we could just sneak one of these in. Oh, I like that. I like that idea. So to make this work, I don't like this location. We're gonna improve the location, but I like the idea and premise in general. So what we'll do is bring this down and add some paths as a landing for this park. We'll get that closer, and now we can make connections all the way around. Really like that. So now, even though the views are a bit obstructed from here, now you can come up here and take a romantic ride on this Ferris wheel. You get a great view of the statue and downtown. I love that. I love that so much. All right, but we're not done there. We can't stop there. We are going to just accept some imperfection here as well. And we'll have some viewing decks here. Park piers. I don't like the lack of symmetry. There we go. And one more little park area, and I'm wondering, we don't want to forget that. We'll take care of that. In terms of attractiveness, 600. Entertainment, we will level this up. This is no problem. We'll make this the child-friendly one. So I have an aunt and an uncle, some cousins in Chicago, and they live fairly close to the lakefront. One of the things that always amazed me as a kid is that at the base of their tower, there's a park right along the shore with a climbing frame, and it is just a normal place for people to hang out. And coming from a smaller town growing up, I didn't realize that these sorts of amenities were ubiquitous everywhere, not just in the small town I was in, but in big cities as well. And they're in places that make sense. You got to give the kids a place to go too. Now, the one thing I didn't include yet that I want to include, and maybe I should have included here, is a ferry. Yeah, that's unfortunate. We need to get the ferry in. So that might be a bit of a mulligan on the children. So We'll see. That is just as important as the parks here. So before I forget about it, as I build things in order, we're gonna build this. I think we're just gonna use a bit of eminent domain down here, and we'll reroute this street a bit. Ooh, that is a real struggle. So I think that the zoning from this previous road was being mapped onto this, which was causing all sorts of problems. So thankfully we took care of that. No harm, just a little bit of a mulligan. Now with this, I have angle on and angle only. I'm gonna bring this back around. We didn't really have a proper ending for this key wall, and I feel like this provides it. Or at least this could have provided it had I not decided to mess it up and take in, I assume, the void to the upside down where the Demogorgon is, and we're going to be stuck going that way. I don't know what to... We're going to landscape that out of existence. We'll worry about that later. But let's get this set up right now. We're just going to ping back and forth. This is not fancy or special. It's just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, which I've been told is the more appropriate use of a ferry. Makes a lot of sense. There's a ferry not too far from me. It is, I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's a free ferry. It's more of a tourism thing. This is going to bug me. I'm going to look this up. Merrimack. It is the Merrimack ferry. It exists to get your car across the Wisconsin River. It's really a place to enjoy a quick afternoon outing. You go there, there's an ice cream shop. It's a fun time. Not really purpose driven, more of a tourist attraction, but the lesson that we can take from it is that it is a quick trip down the river, not a long jaunt for the sake of it. So you can see these paths creating some issues for us. So the reason this is happening is the paths are self-leveling beyond the key wall. If I get rid of these, you see that everything's good again. So I need to be very thoughtful about my length so I don't terraform the key wall. Okay, that's a detail, but I care about it, so we're gonna deal with it. And here I'm gonna load things up. We'll have some gazebos. This will be the family time place. If you wanna come and your family's in town, you wanna show them the area, you come here, go and check out a gazebo, and there you go. Look at all of this activity. People all over the place. That is exactly what I was hoping for when we built the key wall. And it's working. Beautiful, beautiful. So as far as other parks go, let's take a look at our land value and see what is warranted. I think we could use another park or two in this area. That said, this is my focus. So we're gonna have a really small nature park. So we'll have a small main gate here, and let's extend this out. And then we'll have a gate on this other side as well. Now for this, let's have some lights. We'll make this a park that is accessible night or day. Not all that special, just a place to walk around and catch some nature. But it will be well loved by all of the students right over here. They'll come here, and the way that we're gonna really take this to the next level is that we have an asset that I think is perfect here. Right here, boulder site. That looks absolutely horrendous. So, all of this leveling stuff, just, it can be a real problem. Well, I think that we need to take our wins where we have them. This right here is a clear win. We can work around this. There we go. That's much better. You know, obviously this looks a little bit artificial. We will fix that. The very first thing we need to fix, though, is all of these trees. Let's get rid of these and replace them with something better. And we're gonna place some fences here. We want to make sure that we don't inadvertently zone in this area. We've got angle on, road guidelines. We don't need road guidelines, but angle's good. So I left just a bit of this area outside of the park. Main thought there is I just want to give an opportunity for zoning just a little bit in this area. I'm going to detail this park because I'm going to detail all of the parks. Now that we've basically finished our park areas, we could use a few more things here though. Let's give that some thought. Obviously views are so important here. Let's have an observation deck. We'll have one facing towards the university and another right at the top where you would get an excellent view of downtown. You walk right in, there you go. Beautiful. That's amazing. And then short of that, I don't know that there's much else. Maybe another lookout tower or two. A bench. We'll keep those at these higher elevation areas. And that's about it. Everything else, I guess a restroom. Even add that this is an urban area, so it's not necessarily something you should expect. And let's get this filled in. I'm being very thoughtful and careful with those views. There we go. That is a great little community amenity. It will only get better with time. The entertainment value is through the roof and it's free because that's the way it should be. So here we go. Again, lots of visitors here, lots of opportunities to access this. Really enjoying these parks. So next we need to think about transit, and there's a lot to think about here. So when we look at this, obviously buses would be a very easy solution. We could try to work trams in, but I think the most obvious solution is subways. So right here is a metro station. We've got a line coming here and it goes through the college campus. So if we take a look, there's a stop right here. And from here, you'd be able to transfer and really get anywhere in Verde Beach. So we're gonna have a spur line that comes off here, and we're gonna have a stop near each of these 3 circle parks. The distance is very good for this, probably at the shorter end, but we're gonna take some liberties and be okay with it because the density is high enough, I think, to justify this. So we're gonna use some eminent domain on buildings. It's wonderful. So we're not gonna worry about it. There we go. In reality, this would probably be at the base of the building or something like that. Wouldn't remove the building, but it's a game. We'll take some liberties. And then I want to meet this underground. So the easiest location is going to be right here. So we'll spur from here. Let's make sure we have our road guidelines on because we are going to use our curved road tool to make a really nice turn here. Or we will. It seemed like for a minute the game was saying no to me. So that is a solution for our regional transit, but it is not a solution for our local transit. You know, I'd really love to have a trolley system, and that was what I was gonna do. But in light of some of these heights, I'm concerned. We're gonna go for it. So what I'll do, the unfortunate thing is that it's gonna take out the palm trees on this. Yeah, I don't love this. So this is my problem. I want to leave this collector as it is. I'll have to add a lane here to make it work. That's just pretty unreasonable in my opinion, because I'd want it to do a circulation loop around here. So I'd be adding roads here. I think we're just gonna go with buses. As much as that pains me, I think that's the most logical choice. So one of the things I saw in the comments was that this terracing just isn't very good. Another option for the terracing would be to upgrade these buildings and have them all be offices. But again, I just don't know that we gain a lot with that. Some areas, the views are fine. In others, what is this? This is a residential building. Yeah, it's okay. I don't want to prioritize the views of a low density residential user. I want to prioritize the views of these high density, because think about the number of people who live here. Right here, we've got 24 households. Here, we've got 5. So are we going to prioritize the views of 24 people or 4? I think we're going to go with 24. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to put the high density back here and taper down to low density. To me, it's all about maximizing the public benefit. And if we want to do that, we have to ensure that we are prioritizing the users, the highest density buildings in the most desirable locations. The other thing is these buildings would cost a lot more to build. So unless we're going to have multi-million-dollar mansions along the shore, we've kind of got to do it this way. So that is my logic there. You can certainly disagree. That's what I'm going with. We're going to use eminent domain on 3 buildings to place a ferry. So that is logic that not even I really agree with, but it is what we're going with again. And I'm going to pause it because we've got more of these buildings coming up, creating lots of issues for us. And I want to move this ferry. Kidding, I don't want to move the ferry. I want to place it. That I cannot believe that was as straight as it was. That's wonderful. So that's a win that we're going to take. And we'll have office around there because that's noisy. And then again, we need to end this. Honestly, I guess I don't mind this ending. So here, it's another quick connection across the water. It's the short one. You don't have a car, you can get across the river now. You don't need to fight with traffic on this bridge. You just ping back and forth. I love that. That's great. So now we've got a zone, and it's going to be pretty easy to finish our zoning. We just follow our existing patterns. So let's do it right now. Okay, this is our general zoning pattern. We are going to want to put some fences in to control our zoning a little bit more, because I'm concerned that we are splitting zoning where it doesn't make sense. We're also fronting a lot onto this road, and I do want to keep this internal to the neighborhood, facing in the same direction as our public service buildings. I'm going to fence this. You know what? I disagree with this. Let's do the opposite. We'll focus our zoning on this main road to activate the street a bit. Otherwise, it's just 100% cars 100% of the time. And by doing this, I'm consolidating the zoning so I can get some bigger buildings with better massing. We'll do the exact same thing here and create a better separation between the Lewis Lumber Company and this neighborhood. We're going to need to upgrade this road as well. We'll get to that. Okay, broke a ton of the zoning here, but I'm not overly concerned. I think it's okay. We'll get this fixed. And then here I'm providing a little bit of commercial zoning to act as a buffer. The other thing that this does is if there were high school students and they had an open campus, they'd have the ability to go grab a bite to eat. I'm going to convert this all right here. And then we'll remove the zoning from here because it's going to terraform terribly here as well. We'll just leave this alone. And now I just want to go through and double check my work, make sure it makes sense, and slowly and meticulously break things up as I see fit, especially to improve the way that we're dealing with the terrain heights. So here, for instance, I add this fence, and now I focus the zoning on this top tier, and that to me makes some good sense. And I upgraded that road to ensure that all of we had maximum zoning potential there. So there we go. We could certainly break this block up. I see this now, and I'm going to take care of it before it's a problem. This is a very long block. And the same case could be made here, but we do have large campus-type buildings breaking this up, so I will let it slide here. I'm going to upgrade this road to see if that improves my zoning potential. It doesn't. It's fine. All right, with that, I think we can finally run this thing again. And let's let this sit for a minute while this fills in just a bit. Okay, and things aren't completely filled in, but we're getting closer, and I think that we can move on to a couple other things like naming and detailing. And the reason things aren't filling in is I am a knucklehead. I didn't place water underneath the roads where they belong. Let's take care of that. I bet you that this land is going to be a ton more saleable now that it has water. So let's give this another minute and we'll see what happens. Okay, and we filled in quite a bit. And as I was staring at this and watching this fill in, it made me think, we've got this little bit of land right here, and Maggie doesn't have a residence yet. Why don't we give her one? So let's go ahead, and she's going to build herself a beautiful house right off from here. We'll give her her own private road. And then obviously she's going to want a view of the shore. And what I'll do is add some fences here to give it that feeling of seclusion. She's worked hard, and this is what she gets. Or I should say, this is what she's reserved for herself. So don't think that doesn't happen, that we get plats in where the developer has certainly marked off a plat for a lot for themselves. And when they are reluctant to make any changes for that lot, that's why. Okay, so this will be where Maggie lives. And this will be Maggie Street. So she lives on the corner of Maggie Street and Myrtle Place. I like it. So eventually when this fills in, we will have to do a little bit of work here. But let's focus on some street naming. And I reached out to all of the patrons and the YouTube members, the YouTube planners, to get some names. But before we do that, I missed one huge name, and that's El Demetrius. He gave us the idea of really doing a bunch of street naming, so I want to honor him. Demetrius Avenue will go right down right here to the circle. All right, so we're gonna go through. I've got a whole bunch of names that we're gonna work in. I'm gonna start out with the patrons, and I'm not going to name every single patron, but we'll go through and make it happen. Okay, so a number of streets have been named in here, and now we're going to move on to the YouTube members. Okay, and I think that's most of the streets. So I hope I've left this at a pace that you can catch up on it and figure it out. We'll name a couple more too. There we go. So lots of great names. We've got one more thing to do before we can end this, and obviously it's landscaping. It's a huge miss here, and it's gonna take this build from Lumpy and Bumpy Lumpy and Bumpyville to something special. This is not what I imagined for Maggie's house. I hope it levels up, and I'm wondering if there's anything I can do to force it. Okay, I don't love this. We're going to change this, but for the time being, I think this will help this level up. So we'll go with it. Let's get some trees in here, and we will get those placed right now. I noticed we had a power line still up here. We got rid of that, and we're going to fix the zoning. Much better. Much better. And back to detailing. Okay, and with that, I think that we are ready for a brief city tour. And with that, I think it's been a very productive day. We've got a lot done. There's still some more to do here. We haven't really addressed local transit. We still have some streets that we need to change from the industrial roads that we've had into something a bit more appropriate. And we have a whole bunch of vanilla traffic management, but I want to save that for the next one. And I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the like button. If you aren't subscribed, please consider doing so. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.